Fire needs your hair. I won't burn unless you're there. Yeah, yeah. Y'all know what time it is, man. And I don't need no DJ either. I host my own shit.
Y'all know what it is. It's time.
It's elevation, you feel me? Check me out. I got my heart up in this music, so I grind till it stop. You can hate me or love me, either way you dying to watch. It's hard to live at your bottom, easy to die at the top. Because the ops on my body, on my mind, and on.
Let's get it. Give y'all a few minutes to get up in here. We about to get into it in like 4 minutes.
It's a lost generation. We're starving for greatness. We hardly can make it, and truth is a pill that we hardly can take. Look at our generation.
Look at them.
Lost in this matrix.
So lost.
You will do it for yourself if you really want to help. Otherwise, it'd be hard to escape to the lost generation. It's a lost generation. We're starving for greatness.
Peace, Chief Kokomo. Peace to you, brother.
We hardly can take. Look at our generation. Walking lost in this matrix. Look at us, man. Praying God come and save us.
Look at us. Look at us. Look at us.
Really want to help. Otherwise, it'd be hard to escape to the lost generation. Where everything's fun and games. We drink and we smoke just to numb the pain. We scream for the cops when a brother gets shot. Then we march for money, don't nothing change. Damn. I'm tired of these fucking game shit. We gotta do something, man. They label us black, our history snatched. We don't even know where the fuck we came from. They gave you another name, watched it and gave you another brain. We used to be scholars till they gave us dollars. You gotta realize this a fucking game. So make sure you play it right. When you give it your all, you sleep when you lay at night. I am a ray of light. That's an affirmation, something that you can say it right. I hope this word get exposed. Our 40 cycles getting old. How we giving all our children shit we couldn't deal with it. Shit from further from their souls. This world is so cold. Making myself like damn.
Peace, Lou. Lou Heron in the house. Peace to you, brother.
I guess all I can say is, damn, it's a lost generation. We starving for greatness. We hardly can make it, and truth is a pill that we hardly can take. Look at our generation, walking lost in this matrix. Praying God come and save you. You'll do it for yourself if you really want to help. Otherwise, it'd be hard to escape to the lost generation. It's a lost generation. We're starving for greatness. We hardly can make it, and truth is a pill that we hardly can take. Look at our generation, walking lost in this matrix. Praying God come and save you. You'll do it for yourself if you really want to help. Otherwise, it'd be hard to escape with a lost generation. Where youngins be selling us dope and politicians sell us hope. We never noticed all the power we got in our hands. They trick us and tell us to vote. Why should I care about July 4th? That one what my people die for was given religion and put up in a wicked system. But this shit won't our choice, so just find yours. There's different meanings of freedom, you need to define yours. Republican, Democrat, I don't get into that. They gotta give us back our voice. Cause how can the president speak for me? Or clean up the streets and find peace for me? They can't part the Red Sea for me. If I thought that, then I ain't even free. I'm just trying to tell us, the hand they dealing us is deadly. Let's come together for protection. They use their air, food, and water as weapons for harming my essence. It's time that we check it. I need my people to help me. The time is now. We need plans. But we ain't got no hope, so we apply no vote and say, y'all don't know, just keep praying. Damn, it's a lost generation. We starving for greatness. We hardly can make it, and truth is a pill that we hardly can take. Look at our generation.
Lost in the whole matrix. And they keeping us asleep, too.
You really want to help, otherwise it'd be hard to escape. The lost generation. It's a lost generation. We starving. We hardly can make it, and truth is a pill that we hardly can take. Look at our generation, walking lost in this matrix. Praying God come and save you. You'll do it for yourself if you really want to help. Otherwise, it'd be hard to escape with a lost generation.
I can think one of the O's are the good is God. If you had a D to evil, it's the devil. I think some cool motherfuckers sat down a long time ago and said, let's figure out a way we can control motherfuckers. And that's what they came up with, the Bible. Because if the guy wrote the Bible, I'm sure it would have been a revised copy by now. You know what I mean? Because a lot of shit has changed. And I've been looking for this revised copy, and I don't see it.
Peace, fam. What's going on with you guys? Just came in to get a little bit of information out to you guys. I've been a little busy, and didn't know about it, but let's get right to it. And I have a little time. Hopefully, I can get through everything I want to present today. You already know that it is basically trying to disseminate like facts from lies when you're looking at information, and you can read it for yourself and kind of go on a storyline. You can go with your own truth of telling you or trying to guide you when it comes to whatever it is that they, have in their mind. Enoch, peace to you, bro. Let's get right to it, guys. All right. Peace, peace. All right, let's see. Okay, I'm going to start with what we have in the description. That was just the first paragraph that I added in to give you an idea of what we're talking about, where it says all institutions of the Iroquois have regard to the division of the people in two tribes, originally with reference to marriage. The wolf, the bear, the beaver, the turtle tribes, being brothers to each other, were not allowed to intermarry. The four opposite tribes, being also brothers to each other, were likewise prohibited from intermarrying. Either of the first four tribes, however, could intermarry with each of the last four, the relation between them being that of cousins. Thus, hawk could intermarry with bear or beaver, heron with turtle, but not beaver with turtle or deer with deer. Whoever violated these laws of marriage, which obviously was incest, incurred the deepest detestation and disgrace of the tribe. In process of time, however, the rigor of the system was relaxed until finally the prohibition was confined to the tribe of the individual, which among the residue of the Iroquois is still religiously observed. They can now marry into any tribe but their own. Under the original, as well as the modern regulation, the husband and wife were of different tribes. The children always followed the tribe of the mother. As the whole Iroquois system rested upon the tribes as an organic division of the people, it was very natural that the separate rights of each should be jealously guarded. Not the least remarkable among their institutions was that which confined the transmission of all tribes' rights and property in the female line to the exclusion of the male. It was strangely unlike the canons of descent. It was strangely unlike the canons of descent adopted by the civilized nations, but it secured several important objects. If the deer tribe of the Cayugas, for example, received a sketchship, a Sancoms at the original distribution of these offices, the descent of such title being limited to the female line. It could never pass out of the tribe. Therefore, this is why it is very important for you guys to understand why the planting, as I tell you guys, of the black seed into the black ionic womb per se, which is the dark womb, which is the matter, pure ether womb, and implanting into the land, because the land is the people. So if you can combine those two, then therefore you're implanting the seed into that ground, right? You get it? Okay. It thus became instrumental in giving to the tribe individuality. A still more marked result, and perhaps a leading object of this enactment, was perpetual disinheritance of the son. Being of the tribe of his mother formed an impassable barrier against him, and he could neither succeed his father or Sankom, nor inherit from him even his metal or his tomahawk. The inheritance for the protection of tribal rights was thus directed from the lineal descendants of the Sankom to his brothers or his sister children, or under certain circumstances, to some individuals of the tribe at large, each and all of whom were in his tribe, while his children being in another tribe, as is before remarked, were placed out of the line of succession. By the operation of this principle, also the certainty of descent in the tribe of their principal chiefs was secured by a rule infallible. For the child must be the son of its mother, although not necessarily of its mother's husband. If the purity of blood be of any moment, the lawgivers of the Iroquois established the only certain rule, and the case admits of, whereby the assurance might be enjoyed that the ruling Sankom was of the same family or tribe with the first taker of the title. Okay. The Iroquois mode of computing degrees of sanguinity was unlike that of the civil or canon law, but was yet a clear and indefinite system. No distinction was made between the lineal and the collateral lines, either in the ascending or the descending series. To understand this subject, it must be borne in mind that the grandparents, one only, the maternal grandmother necessarily was, and of the parents onto the mother. And in the descending line, only the sister's children could be of the same tribe with the propositus or the individual from whom the degrees of relationship was reckoned. By careful attention to this rule, the reasons of the following relationships will be readily perceived. The maternal grandmother and her sisters were equally grandmothers. The mother and her sisters were equally mothers, and the children of the mother's sisters were brothers and sisters, and the children of the sisters were nephews and nieces, and the grandchildren of a sister were his grandchildren. These were the chief relatives within the tribe. Though not, this is what the tribe is. Just make sure you guys are understanding that the maternal grandmother and her sisters are equal grandmothers. The mother and her sisters are equal mothers. The children of the mothers and sisters were brothers and sisters, and the children of the sisters were nephews and nieces, and the grandchildren of the sisters were his grandchildren. These were the chief relatives within the tribe. This is the whole consistency of a tribe. Okay. All right. Though not fully extended as to number out of the tribes, the paternal grandmother. Okay, I'm sorry, my daughter's asking me some guys. Hold on 1 second. Okay, out of the tribe, the paternal grandfather and his brothers were equally grandfathers, and the father of his brothers equally fathers. The father's sisters were aunts, while in the tribe, the mother's brothers were uncles, and the father's sisters' children were cousins, as in the civil law. The children of these children were nephews and nieces, and the children of these nephews and nieces were his grandchildren, or the grandchildren of the propositus. Again, the children of the brother were his children, and the grandchildren of the brother were his grandchildren. Also, the children of the father were theirs. And his brother and sisters instead of cousins, as under the civil law. And lastly, their children were his grandchildren. It was the leading object of the Iroquois law of descent to merge the collateral in the lineal lines. As sufficiently appears to the above outline by the civil law, every departure from the common ancestor in the descendant series removed the collateral from the lineal. Listen to this. I'm going to read this again. By the civil law, every departure from the common ancestor in the descending series removed the collateral from the lineal. While by the law under consideration, the two lines were finally brought into one, combining the lines, blending the seeds. Under the civil law mode of computation, the degrees of relationship became too remote to be traced among collaterals. While by the mode of the Iroquois, none of the collateral were lost by the remoteness of the degree. The number of those the number of those linked together by the nearer family ties was largely manipulated by preventing. In this manner, the subdivision of a family into collateral branches, these relationships, so novel and original, did not exist simply in theory, but were actual and of constant recognition, and lay at the foundation of their political as well as social organization. The succession of the rulers of the League is one of the most intricate subjects to be met within the political system of the Iroquois. It has been so difficult. I'm going to read this to you guys. These following are the names of several degrees of relationship that are recognized among the Haudenosaunee, which is in language of the Seneca Indians. Okay, the Hakot was the grandfather. The Aksote is the grandmother. The Hini is the father. Let me remember that for you guys. The Hani is the father. The Haini is the father. The No Ye is the mother. The Hogawak is the son. The Go Awak is the daughter. The Kayada is the grandchildren. The Hakni Si is the uncle. The Agabhak is the aunt. The Hayan Wande is the nephew. The Kayan Wande is the niece. The Daya Guadan Noda is brothers and sisters. And the Agarse is cousins. Okay. Let me check with the chat. All right, guys. You guys are with me. I haven't cut out. It's like throw me out of there. Like, ooh, I be done talking. I come back and next thing you know, shit, they done threw me off the stream. What's up? Big Chief, what's up, bro? Peace, peace. Thanks for coming through. Elizabeth, hi, sis. Hope you're having the best evening. Yes, yes, yes. Nicholas Jones, peace, peace. Thanks for coming through. Halito, Halito. Blissness, fullness, all that great energy to you guys. Good evening, Suzanne. Hope everything is going well for you, darling. Peace, peace, and blessings. Yes. All right, let's get back to it, guys. Now we're going to get into succession of the Sancoms. Actually, let me go back because I don't remember what the last part of the sentence was. I didn't read. Let's get to that. It said, okay. It has been so difficult, I believe is what the word is going to be. Yes. It has been so difficult to produce a satisfactory exposition of the enactments by which the mode of succession was regulated, that the Sancomship's mode of succession was regulated, and that the Sancomships have sometimes been considered elective and others as heredity. Many of the obstacles which beset the inquiry are which beset the okay, where was that? Up here. Considered elective, which the mode of, I must have hit the page. Hold on, guys. Let me see. Did I? No. I just lost my place. Hold on. Okay, I gotta slow down. I am like so rushed in my mind right now because I know I have a certain amount of time to try to finish this. So let me get it together. Not rush because my mind's already speeding. All right. All right. Okay. That the Sancoms have sometimes been considered elective, and others as hereditary. Many of the obstacles which beset the inquiry are removed by the single fact that the title of Sankom was absolutely hereditary in the tribe to which it was originally assigned, and could never pass out of it, but with its extinction. So only if the family members in that bloodline particularly died out, not adding anybody. This is why they want to keep the bloodline pure. Not allowing anyone to intercede into that bloodline particularly or that family tree. How far these titles were hereditary in that part of the family of the Sankom who were of the same tribe with himself, because the true question to consider. The Sankom's brothers and the sons of his sisters were of his tribe, and consequently in a line of succession. Between a brother and a nephew of the deceased, there was no law which established a preference, neither between several brothers on the other one hand, the sons and several sisters on the other, and there any laws of their I don't even know what this word, hold on, primogeniture, okay, I'm familiar, nor finally was there any positive law that the choice should be confined to the brothers of the deceased ruler and the descendants of his sisters in the female line. Until all these should fail before a selection could be made from the tribe at large. Hence, it appears so far as positive enactments were concerned that the office of Sankom was hereditary in the particular tribe in which it ran, while it was elective as between the male members of the tribe itself. There was no passing over. There was no, I'm just going to hand this over to a certain family member. No, there was a certain line that everything had to go through. The laws of succession were in an order that the tribes had to follow in order to keep the everything on the lineage within that particular family line, in that particular tree, right? The laws of succession, somewhat similar, existed among the Aztecs, and the sovereign were selected from the brothers of the deceased prince, or in the default of them, from his nephews. Thus, the election has always restricted to the same family. The scheme of election, however, defective, argues a more refined and a calculating policy than was to have more expected from a barbarous nation. This is from the Prescott's Conquest of Mexico. If anyone is interested in reading it, that's volume 1, page 23. If you want to get more information on those particular laws in the succession and going into that, so on and so forth. This is going into the League of the Iroquois. I want to kind of go forward a bit. So let me see. I think there may be some on here. I want to read it all, but let me see. I'm going to read some of this. Okay. It sometimes occurred that all the relatives of the deceased were set aside, and a selection was made from the tribe generally, but it seldom does happen unless from the great unfitness of the near relatives of the deceased. When the individual was finally determined, the nation summoned a council in the name of the deceased. Of all the Sancoms of the league, and the new Sancom was raised up by such council and invested with his office. In connection with the power of the tribe to designate the Sancoms, they should be noticed and equal power of the disposition or the deposition. If by misconduct a Sachem lost and the confidence and respect of his particular tribe and became unworthy of this particular authority, a tribal council at once disposed him, and having selected a successor, they summoned a council of the league to have that ceremony and the investiture of that. Okay. I want to I really want to read all this, but I don't want to take too much time in this particular area. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to read this part. At the first subsequent council of the nation, the birth and name were publicly announced, together with the name and the tribe of the father. Making a public announcement of the person's lineage is very important. Keep this in mind, guys. And the name and the tribe of the mother in each nation and the proper names were so strongly marked by a tribal peculiarity that the tribe of the individual could usually be determined from the name alone. That the tribe of the individual could usually be determined from the name alone. Making, as they did, a part of their language, they were all significant. When an individual was raised up as a Sankom, his original name was laid aside and that of the Sankom itself assumed. In like manner, at the raising up of a chief, the council of the nation which performed the ceremony took away the formal name of the incipient chief and assigned him a new one, perhaps like Napoleon's titles, commemorative of the event which led to his particular bestowment. So, whatever happened, let's say if, he did something spectacular, they would obviously honor that particular event in which he did something that was heroic, so on and so forth. And they're going to take that event, name that, and give him a particular name that reference to that. Just as the place names, we went over the place name book, guys. Remember, we went in the place name book. It was saying how all the rivers, certain cities and towns, all these things were being named because of things that happened in those events. That was a very interesting book. So thinking about that, obviously, when they come into this authority, now we're going to give you a name that's going to fit you and that's going to make you walk into this kingsmanship, basically, Okay. Where was I? Okay. Okay. Thus, when the celebrated Red Jacket was elevated by election to the dignity of a chief, his original name, Otitiani, always ready. He was always ready. You hear that? That was taken from him, and it was placed and bestowed with him, Sagoyi Watha, which is keeper awake. He went from always ready to keeper awake. In allusion to the powers of his eloquence. Each tribe in a nation thus formed a species of separate communities, and the members were all in the consanguinity, and their relationship easily traced. Easily traced. In like manner, those of the same tribe in each of the other nations were their consanguinity. Guys, some of these words are so freaking weird to me, so I'm so sorry if they're not familiar and I'm pronouncing it like really crazy or retarded, because I know I'm not saying it right because it doesn't sound right, but I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so y'all got to bypass that. Okay, it says, and their relationships, near and remote, were also traceable. As two tribes were necessarily joined in each family, there was a perfect diffusion of tribes throughout the nation and throughout the league. In this manner, the race of the Iroquois, although consisting of different nations, were blended into one people. The league was in effect established and rested for its stability upon the natural faith of the kindred. It now remains to define a tribe of the Haudenosaunee, From the preceding considerations, it sufficiently appears that it was not like the Grecian and Roman, a circle or group of families, for two tribes were necessarily represented in every family. Two tribes were necessarily represented in every family, maternal and the paternal, obviously, right? Neither were necessarily, neither like the Jewish, none of these tribes were like the Jewish tribes. Letting you guys know, for these people that keep saying something about, this Jewish stuff, the Jews, they were a tribe, they were a tribe of people. They were, a particular tribe, and they weren't out of Africa. Let me check in with my chat, take a drink real quick. D Calico, peace, brother. Snake God, peace, brother. Ain't seen you in a minute. Hope everything is great with you, brother. Peace and blessings. Yes. All right, let's get it. All right. So where were we? Right here. Okay. And okay, like the Jewish. Was it constituted of the lineal descendants of a common father? On the contrary, it distinctly involved the era of descendant from the common mother. Nor has it any resemblance to the Scottish clan or the canton of the Switzer. In the formation of the Iroquois tribe, a portion was taken from many households and many bound by a tribal bond. The wife, her children, and her descendants in the female line would in perpetuity be linked with the destinies of her own tribe, while the husband, his brothers and sisters, and the descendants of the latter in the female line would in like manner be united to another tribe and held by its affinities. Herein was a bond of union between the several tribes of the same nation, corresponding in some degree with a cross relationship founded upon here go this word again. Let me try to sound it out instead of Russian. Consanguinity. Okay. All right. That sounds familiar. I have heard that before, just not familiar. So the upon the consanguinity, which bound together the tribes of the same emblem in the different nations. So they bound their emblems, they bound the tribes. This is a lot of blending within the nations themselves. Okay. Let me see. Where are we at? Okay. The Iroquois, I think I'm going to read this entire page and the next page. Let's get to it. The Iroquois claim to have originated the idea of a division of the people into tribes as a means of creating new relationships by which to bind the people more firmly together. It is further asserted by them that they forced or introduced this social organization among the Cherokee and the Chippewas, the Masagas, and several other Indian nations with whom in ancient times they were in constant intercourse. The fact that this division of the people of the same nation into tribes does not prevail generally among our Indian races. I'm going to read that again. The fact that the division of the people of the same nation into tribes does not prevail generally among our Indian races favors the assertion of the Iroquois. On the other hand, the laws of the descent, at least of the crown among the Aztecs, dimly shadows for the existence of a similar social organization, which may have been reproduced among the Iroquois or preserved through the remote affinity of the blood. At all events, it was the life and the strength of the league. Let me go back. I forgot to read. That was at the bottom because it was something I didn't read. It says, like the ancient Saxons, the Iroquois had neither a prenomen nor a cognomen, but contented themselves with a single name. The name of the individual was often changed at different periods of life, as when the youth became a warrior and again at the approach of age. Okay, interesting. All right. Of the comparative value of these institutions when contrasted with those of civilized and of their capability of elevating the race, it is not necessary to inquire. It was the boast of the Iroquois that the great object of their confederacy was peace. to break up the spirit of perpetual warfare, which had wasted the red race from age to age. I'm going to read that part one more time. It was the boast of the Iroquois that the great object of their confederacy was peace, to break up the spirit of the perpetual warfare which had wasted the red race from age to age. Such an insight into the true end of all legitimate government by those who constructed this tribal league, excites as great surprises as admiration. It is the highest and noblest aspect in which human institutions can be viewed, and the thought itself, universal peace among Indian races, possible of attainment, was a ray of intellect from no ordinary mind to summate such a purpose. The Iroquois nations were to be concentrated into one political fraternity. The Iroquois nations were to be concentrated into one political fraternity, and in a matter of effectively to prevent offshoots and successions. By its natural growth, this fraternity would accumulate sufficient power to absorb adjacent nations, molding them successively by affiliation into one common family. Thus, in its nature, it was designed to be a progressive confederacy. What means could have been employed with greater promise of success than a stupendous system of relationships, which was fabricated through the division of the Haudenosaunee into tribes? It was a system sufficiently ample to enfold the whole Indian race, unlimited in their capacity for extension, inflexible in their relationships. The tribes thus interleagued would have suffered no loss of unity by their enlargement, nor loss of strength by their increased distance between their council fires. The destiny of these leagues, the destiny of this league, if it had been left to work out its own result among the red races exclusively, the destiny of this league, if it had been left to work out its own result among the red races exclusively, it is impossible to conjecture. With vast capacities for enlargement, and remarkable durability of structure, it must have attained a great elevation and a general supremacy. You think so? It is apparent from the examination of such evidence as can be discovered that the several Iroquois nations occupied positions of entire equality in the league, in rights, in privileges, and in obligations. Such special immunities as were granted to either must be put down to the chances of location and to the numerical differences at the institution of the Confederacy. Since they neither indicate an intention to establish an unequal alliance nor exhibit the exercise of privileges by either nation, inconsistent with the principle of political equality on which the League was founded. So the League was founded on political equality. Interesting, huh? The sources of information from which this conclusion is drawn are to be found in the massive Iroquois traditions and in the structure of the Confederacy itself. Those traditions which reach beyond the formation of the League are vague and unreliable, which all such as refer to its establishment assume a connection and a distinctive form. It follows that confidence may be reposed in such inferences as are derived from these traditions and corroborated by the internal structure of the government and by the institutions of the League. There were provisions apparently vested in certain nations' superior authority, which it had desirable to introduce and explain. The most prominent was the unequal distribution of Sancoms. The most prominent was the unequal distribution. We're about to get into how they were distributed as well, of the Sancoms, okay, indicating an unequal distribution of power. The Anangas, for example, having 14 Sancoms, while The Senecas, by far, I'm sorry. For example, having 14 the Senecas, by far the Confederacy, were entitled to but 8. It is true, ceteris paribus, that a larger body of Sancoms would exercise a greater influence in general council. But it will appear when the mode of deciding questions is considered that it gave no increase of power, for each nation had an equal voice in a negative upon the others. By another organic provision, the custody of the council branch and also of the wampum into which the laws of the league had been taught was given by hereditary grant to the Onondagas. This is sufficiently explained by their central position, which made the council fire on the Onondaga Valley. In effect, made the council fire on the Onondaga Valley in effect. The seat of government of the league. It was equally a convenience to all and does not necessarily involve a preference enforced by the superior power. The Todo Dabo was likewise among the Onondaga Sancoms. Upon this point, it has hitherto been stated that the higher degree of the consideration attached to this title was resulted exclusively from the exalted estimation in which the original title Daho was held, an account of his marital prowess and achievements. An apparent inequality between the nations of the leagues is also observed from the award of the 2 highest military chieftains to the Senecas. It will be sufficient on this difficult feature in this system of the Iroquois to note that when they constructed their political edifice, the Longhouse, with its door opening upon the west, they admitted I'm sorry, guys. I'm just a little rushing. Hold on. They admitted the supposition that all hostile onsets were to be unexpected from that direction. And on placing the Senecas as a perpetual shield before its western portal, these war captains were granted as among the means needful for all of the protection. The Mohawks were the receivers of the tribute from the subjugated nations. This hereditary privilege must be placed upon the same footing with the preceding. It may perhaps indicate that the nations upon their borders were in subjection. Unequal terms in a confederacy of independent nations would not be expected. True wisdom would dictate the principle of equality as the only certain foundation of which the durable structure could be erected, such which the principle adopted by the legislators of the Iroquois. It is evinced by the equality of the rights and the immunities subsisted between the Sancoms and the League. Their authority was not limited to their own nation, but was coextensive with the Confederacy. The Cayuga Sancom, remember we read the information on the Cayuga Indians, guys, the ones from Florida. They had been there like way before the 1200s AD, some particular, I think it was 110 AD or something of the sort. We went over those records about the Cayuga. So it says that the Cayuga Sancom, while in the midst of the Oneidas, could enforce from them the same obedience that was due to him from his own people. And when in general council with his compeers, he had an equal voice in the disposal of all business which came before it. The special privileges enumerated and some others which existed were of but little. Hold on, guys. I gotta take a drink again. My mouth been dry. It's so quick. A little bit of ice. Okay. Disposal had been before. Okay. The special privileges enumerated and some others which existed were of but little moment when compared with the fact that the nations were independent and that each had an equal participation in the administration of the government. At the epoch of the League, the several nations occupied the territory between the Hudson and the Genesee River. I live by that stinking, disgusting river. When I say that thing stink, when I was in New York, and were separated by much the same internal boundaries as at the period when they yielded up their sovereignty. From geographical position or from relative importance, or yet for the mere purpose of establishing between the nations relationships similar to those existing between the tribes. Certain rules of precedence and national ties were constituted between them, and the nations were divided into two classes or divisions. And when assembled in general council, were arranged upon opposite sides of the council fire. On the one side stood the Mohawks, the Onondagas, and the Senecas, who as nations were regarded as brothers to each other, but as fathers to the other nations. They were over the other nations. Upon the other side were the Oneidas and the Cayugas, and at a subsequent day, the Tuscaroras, who in like manner were brother nations to each other, but children to the first three. These divisions were in harmony with each other, of relationship, or more properly formed a part of it. They may have secured for the senior nations increased respect, but they involve no idea of dependence in the junior or inequality in the civil rights. When the nations enumerated, the Mohawks were placed first, but for what reason is not precisely understood. But in the councils of the Confederacy, they were styled Dagoiogo, which became their national epithet. It was a term of respect and signifies neutral, or as it may be rendered, the shield. Its original is lost and it's in obscurity. A lot of the shields, like I said, they had blended a lot of their different shields, so on and so forth. A lot of the shields, they said they were like these brass gold plates. I'm not sure if I bypassed that, guys. I don't know if I went back far enough to read all of that, but they had the brass plates that had information on them, this and that, da 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 da. Okay. In the councils of the Confederacy, they were styled, da da da. It was a term of respect, da da da. Okay. The Onagas were placed next in the order of precedence and were addressed in council by the appellation the Hoda San no Gita. This term signifies the name bearer and was conferred in commemoration of the circumstance that the Onondagas bestowed the names upon the 50 original Sancoms. This was a privilege of some moment of these names were to descend from generation to generation upon the successor rulers of the Hodi no Sa Ni. This is why a lot of name changes came into effect, displacing people from the lands and also displacing them from their ancestry. This is why the genealogy is so very freaking important. Next in order stood the Senecas, justly proud of their national designation, Honani Ho'ant, or the doorkeeper. To them, as elsewhere remarked, belonged to the hereditary guardianship of the door of the Longhouse. The Oneidas occupied the fourth place in the Iroquois order of presidents, and originally had no appellation by which they were distinguished. At a subsequent and quite modern period, the epithet Ni are the Undergowar, or Great Tree, was conferred upon them by their confederates. This name was seized upon from some occurrence at a treaty with the people of Wastow in Boston. The treaty with the people of Wastow in Boston. I'm going to put that in the chat so I can look that up later. I hadn't heard that mentioned before. And I'm going to see what that's about. Okay, check that out later. Okay, peace. Let me check in with my chat since I'm over here. Peace, everybody that's came in. Yeah, I'm trying to get into this, guys, so I can get a lot of this out the way before I have to get out of here. There's a couple of other things I want to get into rather quickly. We're going to do that. Halito says, peace and blessings, says, peace to he who is. Peace, brother. Yes, they the $5 tribe, the red men. You just missed the piece, brother. It was just saying, it was talking about, they said that they were the red men. Exactly. Peace, Charles Bro. Say, I mean, woman. You funny. Yes, bro. You already know. I can't do nothing but that, bro. Got to keep it real. Got to make sure that I'm sticking to the facts and the truth of the matter. You guys know I'm learning with you guys. I don't know how long you guys have been into all of this information, but it's just been a little bit over a year for me. It hasn't even been quite a year that I've come into the Aboriginal information, the Indian. I'm gonna say Indian/Aboriginal information. So you guys have to really pay attention to what's going on when trying to dig information. You have to kind of read between the lines, see what they're talking about. But we're going to get back into the Longhouse, right, DeCalico? I heard about that soon, definitely. Curtis, peace, brother. Extra, peace to you, brother. Adriana, third eye, peace, sis. Oh, welcome, sis. How you doing, dear? Thanks for coming through. Diadeck, what's up, bro? Oh, I seen you had sent me something, Diadeck, on Clubhouse, bro. I tried to click on it. I ain't really used to it. I don't know if I X'd out of it or what, but send me another request because I couldn't find you after that. All right. Let's get it. Okay. The Treaty of the People. Did I put it in the chat? Let's see. Did I put it in the chat? I was too busy running my mouth. Yep. The Treaty of the People of Boston. Oh, I don't know what that particular thing was, but we're gonna check that out another time as well. Okay. All right, guys, let's get back to it. Expose around here. Of the 5 original nations, the Cayugas were placed last in the enumeration. Why is that? Is that because they were one of the tribes that had been around in Florida forever, like one of the originals? Is that why they were placed last after all these tribunal, whatever they was doing around this time? Shit. They were designated in council by the appellation, the Sonas Go Watawar, signifying great pipe. Tradition refers this epithet to the incident that the leading Cayuga chief in attendance at the council, which established the league, smoked a pipe of unusual dimensions and workmanship. Talking about that big peace pipe. The admission of the Tuscaroras, having been long subsequent to the formation of the league, they were never received into an equal alliance with the other nations. After this disastrous overthrow, the expulsion from North Carolina, they turned toward the country of the Iroquois, and they were admitted about the year 1715 as the Six Nations into the Confederacy. So, as you guys remember, when we read about the Cayuga tribe, they was getting rid of them. They was throwing them Spanish. They did it for what, thousands of years, down to those last few hundreds of years when they came in there. They were actually like really ruling things. They were up on the high mounds, the big hills, the high mound. They had the shell castles that they built out of shells that housed up to 2,000 people. They were in everybody was together. They was living like really like down their ancestral line. They did everything the original way. These people came in and broke all that up, came in and added them into the Confederacy, and this sped up past, we read along what happened in the 1500s, 1600s. Now this is actually getting to the 1700s. So we're actually following the timeline of what was going on with the Cayugas, okay? All right, and let's see. Okay, but they were never allowed to have a Sancom who could sit as an equal in the council of the Sancoms. The 5 nations were unwilling to enlarge the number of Sancomships founded at the institution of the league. Why? Because they want to share, trying to keep that power for themselves, greedy. So they decide, oh, we want to take it on. We want to keep everything. So we're going to just take everything. We're going to rule it. We're going to let these people come in and let them officiate everything and put governance everywhere. And then we're going to be on the top of everything because we're going to be controlling because we're over them. And then they dumb behinds got, look what happens. See? What they say, God don't like. Okay, where's that? For purpose of the national government, however, they were organized like the other nations with similar tribe relationships, laws, and institutions. They also enjoyed a nominal equality in the councils of the league by the courtesy of the other 5, and their Sancoms were raised up. Remember, guys, a couple of weeks ago, we read about those 5 nations, the 5 tribes. We read about it a little bit in that build on the Nebraska information, the Nebraska land, the 50 million acres that they took over. If you didn't get that information, make sure you go back and check that out. Okay. with the same ceremonies. They were not dependent, but were admitted to as full equality as could be granted them without enlarging the framework of the Confederacy. In the councils of the League, they had no national designation. At the establishment of the Confederacy, the office of Chief Hasonawana, I'm sorry, y'all, and an elevated name, was entirely unknown among the Iroquois. They were like, "Oh, he just came right on in, huh? Sound like what happened with Nipsey Hussle. He just popped up, huh?" Their traditions, as just like they just popped up, the man came to Tops. Hold on, I got to touch on that real quick. The dude that came to the Tops market. Wait. Let me get to my chat real quick. I think I just hit that by mistake. Went to the next page. Let me go back. Hold on, so I know where we was at. Okay, right here's the market. Now, you guys saw this thing about this Tops Friendly Market, right? Now, that's actually the area I moved from in New York. My question is, they were saying that this 70-something-year-old lady got killed, right? They said that every week she was at Central Park and feeding homeless. She was feeding the homeless people in the park every weekend, right? They said that this lady was at Tops. Now, I don't know. I don't want to say the story wrong, so don't misquote me. So I'm going on what I've heard. They said that she was at the freaking Tops. I don't know if she worked there, if she was shopping there. What was she doing at Tops in Buffalo? Buffalo is about a 6.5, 7-hour drive from New York City. Central Park is in New York City. So for those of you who don't know or understand that, Buffalo is about 6.5, 7 hours from Central Park. Now they said that this lady, she was going there every weekend and she was feeding the homeless and da. But here she got shot up at Tops Market. They did an interview with the guy that said he was walking in the store talking with the guy. Oh yeah, we were having a great conversation. He was just this great guy. I'm looking at, will somebody just slap this man real quick? Because I want to slap his ass through the screen first off. Yeah, he was just so intelligent. And I'm looking like, what is it? This got to be an act right now. First off, because ain't no brother gonna even do that. After this man has sat up there and shot supposedly a bunch of brothers and sisters. Come on now, don't play with me like that or my intelligence. With you fake news team. So the guy was sitting there. My brother Coppertone, he did the build on. I wasn't even gonna touch on it, but he did the build. I was like, yes, exactly. He was showing the news reporter, right? She got on all white. He got on all black. The guy that was talking with the intelligent guy, right? And do you know, on his shirt, he had the 3 kings on his shirt, and then he had on his hat, he had an African, some kind of African symbolism or something on his hat. So when I seen the video, I'm looking like, what is this? I look at the video, I'm like, the 3 kings. I'm like, the 3 kings got something to do with the gold and the what's that guy? Osama bin Laden in the gold, right? Y'all better pay close freaking attention because I'm only gonna say so much. Listen, it has something to do with us. Look up the movie The 3 Kings. The man had a T-shirt on that had the 3 kings on the front of it, right? He also had the African hat on. Okay. The news team I never even heard of. I lived in New York for almost 20 years. I never heard of that news team. Let me just say that too. That's another thing. So keep that in mind, guys. Keep that in mind. Symbolism. Throwing things in your face. This man coming and shooting these people up behind some nonsense, and then the symbolism of it. When I seen that's fake news report, I'm looking like, why does he have this 3 kings on his shirt? And the only thing that's making me think about is that what's his name? What is he? I don't know if he was in the Navy or Army. One of these officers or something that was going through all. He took some gold from Osama bin Laden. Y'all got to look it up and check the story out. Like real talk, like really. Yes, Black Didi, black and white Freemason. Yep, she had on the white. She had on all white and he had on all black. It was all a psyop, and they sent everybody still. Oh, they're shooting. That was some bull. Like I told y'all, it's no way that was factual because first off, when as soon as I seen the thing talking about the old lady that got shot and she feeding people in Central Park every weekend, but she way in Buffalo shopping for the food. I don't know if that's how she spent her week traveling or what, but it didn't make sense to me. For an elderly lady, that did not make sense to me. So yeah, let me get back to this important book, but I had to touch on that because that was absurd, y'all. Let me check in with my chat real quick since I'm over here. Peace. Yes, guys. Peace, sis. Thanks for coming in. Haven't seen you in a while, dear. Hope everything is good. All blessings to you. You already know. Peace, peace. The president was in my city today, Buffalo. Oh, you in Buffalo, bro? That's crazy. He was in your city? Which one? Which one of the Bidens was there? Which one of the actors? Was it Jim Carrey? Was it, one of the others? It's like 4 people that play the president. I wonder who it was. Yeah, that part. all these psyops and games and nonsense shit. Biden it's a wrap for him. It's a wrap for him. He been through tribunals and the whole nine. Come on, y'all. They keep playing with y'all in y'all face. And I don't know when y'all gonna wake up. I've been telling y'all for the longest about these damn acts. These actors pretending this fake ass war over there with the so-called Biden administration. That's why they'll say the Biden administration. The Biden administration. It's all an administration. None of that shit real. Biden over there with the fight against trying to keep them people trafficked. They're sex trafficking people. They are human trafficking over in Ukraine. This is what that war is all about. It's not a war like you guys actually think. They're like literally playing games. You're gonna hear a lot of shooting. This probably is gonna be a shooting. It was a shooting here, brother. I was on my sister Nikki live yesterday. I'm talking to her, so I'm just doing whatever. I'm riding. I was doing some. My daughter was driving, so I'm just riding or whatever. So I stayed on the live or whatever to kick it with my sis for a minute. As I go through, we turn the corner. They got yellow tape. I'm looking like, what the hell? They talking about teenagers. These teenagers was having a shootout. Like we really in the wild, wild west around here in Texas. These kids out here having a shootout. It was broad daylight. Kids just had got out of school, maybe like an hour or two or so. So kids all out in the street. I'm just like, are you serious? What's going on? And a lot of psyops, people seeing the shooting like, oh, they're getting excited about it. I don't know if it's the heat or what's going on. Everybody's having changes. We're going through metabolic changes, guys. Our whole body and mental, spiritually, everything is changing right now. If you don't know how to handle it, you may not even be able to make it through. Shit, we having a retrograde right now through our entire body. Like, man. New pieces to the story. Brother says new pieces. What's the new piece? Put in the chat real quick. Talking about Central Park. Okay, put me on, Curtis, because that may be true. I didn't know it was an area that they referred to as Central Park in Buffalo, so I could be wrong with that. Thank you for correcting me. If so, I know my daughter. That's where my daughter graduated from. We used to go to Buffalo a lot. She was at Buff State. That's where she got her degrees from. So she, we used to go there a lot. And I was not familiar with a Central Park area in Buffalo. So okay. So maybe that part, wasn't absurd, but it was damn sure absurd enough to me, because when you think about it, if you guys remember, there was a movie about the Central Park, these young black boys in Central Park. It came out on Netflix. I wish I could remember the name of it. I'm not really good with names and titles and things sometimes, but on Netflix, there was a show about the boys, something with these young boys that got arrested. Dang, I wish I could remember the story of what happened. But that happened in Central Park in New York. So for the guy to have on the T-shirt that said the Kings, that's what that reminded me of. So believe me, all this, it still was a psyop. I ain't believing none of that. It's just too many signs on that. I've seen too many signs. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's about 10 minutes away from there. Okay, I feel you, bro. Peace. I can believe that. So that was okay for them to say that they didn't botch it up. All right, guys, let's get back to our story real quick. Where were we at? Written about, okay, the Great Pipe. Okay, the admission of the Tuscaroras, having been long subsequent to the formation of the League, they were never received into an equal alliance with the other nations. After their disastrous overthrow and the expulsion from North Carolina, they turned toward the country of the Iroquois and were admitted about the year 1715. As the Sixth Nation into the Confederacy, but they, because remember, guys, keeping that in mind, they were, let's make sure we're keeping track. They were the Sixth Nation that came into the Confederacy. Remember, there were the 5 original nations. that started the Confederacy, so on and so forth. So now we have the Calusa Indians that have been forced out of the area after fighting the Spanish off for years and years and years. Finally, they were forced, obviously, to move into this area. And then they became the sixth nation into the Confederacy. It says they were never allowed to have a Sankom, though. They never gave them the rights to what they should have had, being that they were one of the greatest nations in Florida. Do you hear this? This is like absurd. Of course, they had to demise them because they were original. And at this time, they were in a Confederacy, so they were doing a lot of mixing and mingling. You know, that Black Sea was implanting itself in the land. They had the land offices, and they were getting everything set up so that they could take over because they wanted to rule and control. Didn't you just hear that? We just read all that. They told you what happened. It says, but they were never allowed to have a Sankom who could sit as an equal in the council of Sankoms, and they were the ones that had the most entire right. The five nations were unwilling to enlarge the number, if not to say that they were doing anything, right? Just to clarify, but saying that they had the real seniority. I mean, come on. The five nations were unwilling to enlarge the number of Sankomships founded at the institution of the League for purposes of national government. For purposes of national government, however, they were organized like the other nations with similar tribes, relationships, laws, and institutions. They also enjoyed a nominal equality in the councils of the League by the courtesy of the other five, and their Sankoms were raised up with the same ceremonies. They were not dependent, but were admitted to a full equality as could be granted them without enlarging the framework of the Confederacy. Ain't that something? You can get in, but we ain't gonna make it bigger to make sure you're fitting right. We just gonna, let you in there, okay? That's what they said. Okay. And part 5 says, oh yeah, Suzanne, that's what it was. And that's crazy, right? Because like I said, that was a reference to him wearing that shirt. I promise you it has something to do with that. And also with that Three Kings movie. Anybody get a chance to, y'all go check out the Three Kings movie, see what it's about. It was about the gold from Osama bin Laden. I'm telling y'all, man, they be playing with y'all. They be playing with y'all. Y'all got to pay attention. For real, for real. All right, let's get back to the book. Take another step. Okay, we read where we read all of that part, right? Okay. Framework of the Confederacy. Okay. In the Council of the League, they had no national designation. So they basically were just sitting there. They part of it, but it's like, okay, y'all don't got no rights. Y'all don't really got no Sankom. So shit, y'all can just sit right here in the corner and listen. You can participate or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But y'all can't put no input on nothing that's going on. Y'all just got to follow along, okay? At the establishment of the Confederacy, the office of Chief Hasanawana, the elevated name, was entirely unknown among the Iroquois. They ain't know these people. Their traditions, as elsewhere stated, affirm that this title was instituted long subsequent to the foundation of the 50 Sankoms and the full adjustment of the League. The necessity in which this office had its original and the illustration which it furnishes of the positive elsewhere advantage that all political institutions, as they unfold, progress from monarchy toward democracy. It leads to the presentation of this subject in this particular place. When the power of the I'm just going to say the Haudenosaunee, okay? Y'all know, because I'm tired of doing all that, began to develop under the new system of the oligarchies, within an oligarchy, there sprang up around the Sankoms of class of warriors. Dang, I wish I had time to stop and look at some of these words. Distinguished for enterprise upon the warpath, the eloquence in council, who demanded some participation in the administration of the public affairs, the serious objections to the enlargement of the number of rulers involving as it did. Changes in the framework of the government for a long period enabled the Sankoms to resist the encroachments in the progress of events. This class became too powerful to be withstood, and the Sankoms were compelled to raise them up in a subordinate station of chiefs. The title was purely elective and the reward of merit. Unlike the Sancoms, the name was not hereditary in the tribe or in the family of the individual, but determined with the chief himself, unless subsequently bestowed by the tribe upon some other person to preserve it as one of their illustrious names. These chiefs were originally invested with very limited powers, were principal office being that of advisors and counselors of the Sancoms, having thus obtained a foothold in the government, thus classed to the number of which there was no limit, gradually enlarging their influence, and from generation to generation drew nearer to an equality with the Sancoms themselves. By this innovation, the government was liberalized to the sensible diminution of the power of the Sancoms, which at the institution of the league was extremely arbitrary. It is a singular fact that none of the Sancoms of the Iroquois, save Legon, have ever become distinguished in history, although each of the 50 titles of the Sankomships have been held by as many individuals as generations have passed away since the foundation of the Confederacy. If the immortality of men worthy of praise is committed to the guardianship of the muse, dignum laud verum musa vet mire, whatever that is, the muse of tradition, if such a conception may be indulged, has been enabled out of this long line of Sancoms to record the deeds of none, save the military achievements of the first Tadu Daho. Let me read this first. At the present time, among the dismembered fragments of the Iroquois nations, the chiefs are found to be nearly, if not in all respects, upon an equality with the Sancoms, although the offices are still held by different tenures. The Logan was one of the 10 Cayuga Sancoms, but which of the 10 names of the Sankomship he held is not at present ascertained. His father, Shikalimus or Shikalimo, who is usually mentioned as the Cayuga Sankom, was but a chief. Okay. It says the wisdom of the legislation of the. Oh, actually, let me go up, guys. I wanted to get to something else in here because I really need to get to another book. I have to get out of here. The rulers in the state penitentiary. I wanted to read something about. Okay, yeah, let's do this. The unchangeable number of the rulers and the stability of the tenure by which the office itself is held are both sources of security in an oligarchy. To the formal safeguard, the Iroquois adhered so firmly that upon the admission of the Tuscaroras as the sixth nation of the League, they were unwilling to increase the original number of the Sancoms, blah, 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 blah. Okay, wait a minute. It was something else. I thought I just read that. Wait a minute. Hold on, guys. Let me go back too far. Yes, I think I did. Hold on a second, because I wanted to really go up a little bit, actually. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna start here, guys. I'm not gonna read it from the beginning. Okay, in like manner, with the chiefs and even the women proceed if they entertained opinions which they wished to urge upon the consideration of the council, from the publicity with which the affairs of the league were conducted, and that the indirect participation in these adjustments thus allowed the people a favorable indication is afforded of the democratic spirit of the government. Okay, the oratory from the constitutional organization of the council was necessarily brought into high repute. Questions involving the safety of the race and the preservation of the league were frequently before it. In those warlike periods when the Confederacy was moved onward amid incessant conflicts with contentious contentious nations, or perchance resisting sudden ties of migratory population, there was no death of those exciting causes of those emergencies of peril, which rose to some of these letters. I forgot about the spelling, guys. Which rose the spirit of the people, summoned into the activity of their highest energies. That did not sound right. Let me read that part one more time, guys. Hold on. Let me go back. Which rose the spirit of the people and summoned into activity their highest energies. Whenever events converged to such a crisis, the council was the first resort, and there, under the pressure of dangers and in the glow of patriotism and eloquence of the Iroquois, flowed as pure as the spontaneous as the fountains of their thousand streamlets. Okay, hold on, guys. I might have to get back to this. I want to go into something else real quick. We got to pull another book up. I'm going to go back to it. If I have time, I want to make sure I'm getting some of this, rest of this to you guys. So, hold on. I had a little order here. Okay, sure. That's that one. Understand. Okay, there it goes. All right, guys. So we have been reading a little bit about the property law, right? And the assuming of the property coming through the land. What is the land? The woman's womb, right? Coming through the womb and then taking place in the land, right? Okay, let's get back into property real quick. I want you guys to hear a little bit more on this particular area here. Okay. An unanswerable question about property. What is property? Okay. What is property? The term is extraordinarily wait, I might have to borrow it again. It's about to end. I haven't borrowed it since earlier. Hold on a minute. Cut out while we've been here. What is property? A term of extraordinarily difficult in to define. One of, okay, hold on. It's coming back. Give it a minute. Loading. Okay, I better lock my page. I'm about to say, come on, man, don't do all that. Okay. What is property? The term is extraordinarily difficult to define. One of America's foremost property law scholars even asserted that the question is unanswerable. The problem arises because the legal meaning of property is quite different from the common meaning of the term. The ordinary person defines property as things, while the attorney views property as rights. So property is not a thing, but it's rights, legal. Most people share an understanding that property means things that are owned by persons. For example, consider the book you are now reading. The book is a thing, and if you acquire the book by purchase or gift, you presumably consider it to be owned by you. If not, it's property owned by someone else under this common usage. The book is property. In general, the law defines property as rights among people that concern things. In other words, property consists of a package of legally recognized rights held by one person in relationship to others with respect to something or other objects. If you purchase this book, you might reasonably believe that you own the book, but a law professor would explain that technically you own legally enforceable rights concerning the book. For example, the law would protect your right to prevent others from reading this particular copy of the book. Notice that the legal definition of property above has two parts: right among people that concern things. The difficulty of defining property is a short, petty pithy sense is now more apparent. Both parts of the definition are quite vague. What are the possible rights that might arise concerning things? Suppose, for example, that A owns a 100-acre tract of forest land. What does it mean to say that A owns this land? Exactly what are A's rights with respect to the land? The second part of the definition is equal troublesome. What are the things that rights are permissibly concerned? For example, could A own legal rights to the airspace above the land, in the wild animals roaming across the land, or in the particular genetic code of the rare trees growing on the land? Indeed, can A own rights in an idea, in a graduate degree, in a job, or in a human kidney? In a sense, this entire book is devoted to answering these similar questions. Okay. Property and law, the legal positivism. Law is the foundation of property rights in the United States. Property rights exist only if and to the extent they are recognized by our legal system. As Jeremy Bentham observed, property and law are born together and they die together. Before laws are made, there was no property. Before laws were made, there was no property. Take away laws and property ceases. I'm going to go past that. That is property to which the same thought more directly. Okay. The same thoughts more directly. That is property to which the following label can be attached to the world. Keep off X unless you have my permission, which I may grant or withhold. Signed, private citizen. Endorsed. I'm going to read that part again. Signed, private citizen. Endorsed the state. This view that rights, including the property rights, arise only through government is known as the legal positivism. Okay. Here's an illustration: Johnson versus McIntosh. You guys remember we read this in a book last week when I did the build on this. And this was another example that was given: Johnson versus McIntosh. Okay. The Supreme Court in 1823, the decision in Johnson versus McIntosh reflects this approach that two Native American tribes sold a huge parts of wilderness land. Pay attention. Pay attention. A huge parcel of wilderness land to a group of private buyers for $55,000. The federal government later conveyed part of that property to one McIntosh who took possession of the land. Representatives of the first buyer group leased the tract to the tenants, and the tenants sued in federal court to eject the McIntosh from the land. The case revolved around a single use. Did Native Americans have the power to convey the title that would be recognized by the federal courts? The court held the tribes that the tribes lacked that power and ruled in favor of McIntosh. Writing for the court, Chief Justice Marshall stressed that under the laws of the United States, let me zoom in on this part so you guys see that. Writing for the court, Chief Justice Marshall stressed that under the laws of the United States, only the federal government held title to the land before the conveyance to McIntosh, while the Native Americans merely held a right of occupancy to that the federal government could extinguish. The title to the lands, he explained, must be admitted to depend entirely on the law and of the nation to which they lie. The court's decision, which could not rely merely on the principles of the abstract justice or on Native American law, but rather must rest upon the principles which our own government has adopted in a particular case and given us as the rule for our decision. In short, under the laws establishment by the United States, must a United States court hold that the United States owned the lands? For Marshall, and the answer was easy. Conquest gives a title, while the courts of the conqueror cannot deny. Property rights, in short, are defined by law. Hold on 1 second, guys. I'm gonna pull another one up for you guys. There's actually two other books I'm trying to get to. I think I'm doing real good. I'm going to get to this third one. I can't do a lot of reading in one particular one, but there is some understanding I want you guys to get. All right, let's see. Where is it? Is this it? I believe this is, I have quite a few books pulled up, guys. Give me a second. Let me, I believe it is. But this may not be the right page. Hold on. Damn, this is not the right one. Hold on, guys. Hold on. That is not the book. Hold on a minute. Okay. Let's see. All right, guys. I got it now. Let's see. I got like 5 windows open with different books on it, and I cannot see the titles sometime until I click on it. So I think I have the proper title here, and let's get into it. I'm not going to read this entire book, obviously, but definitely a little bit of something I want you guys to hear in there. And then I am going to get back to something else for you guys, okay? I'm trying to do all this real quick. Let me check in with the chat real quick. Chief Kokomo back in the house. The takeover. Oh, okay. Thanks, DeCalico. So, oligarchy is a country that is controlled by a few. Okay, so that, like they were explaining how they took care of everything, the tribe leaders, so on and so forth. Great. Okay, perfect. Washington is one of the names that was brought to England in a wave of migration. Yes. All actors. Exactly he who is. They are all actors. Okay. I'm going to read this to you guys real quick just so you can get a little understanding this from this. This is a book, Leviathan. I'm going to just read a little bit about nature, right? What it says is nature, the art whereby God hath made made and governs the world, is by the art of man, as in many other things, so in this also imitated that it can make an artificial animal. For seeing life is but a motion of the limbs, and beginning whereof is in some principal part within. Why may we not say that all automata, engines that move themselves by springs and wheels, or doth a watch, have an artificial life? For what is the heart but a spring, and the nerves but so many strings, and the joints but so many wheels, giving motion to the whole body, such as was intended by the artificer? Art goes yet further, imitating that rational and most excellent work of nature, man. For by art is created that great leviathan called the commonwealth, or the state. For by art is created the great leviathan called a commonwealth or state, in Latin civitas, which is but an artificial man, though of greater stature and strength than the natural, for whose protection the defense it was intended, in which the sovereignty is an artificial soul. Pay attention. As giving life and motion to the whole body, the magistrates and other officers of judicature and execution, artificial joints, reward and punishment, by which fastened to the seat of the sovereignty, every joint and member is moved to perform his duty. Are the nerves that do the same in the body natural? The wealth and the riches of all the particular members are the strength, the salus popula, the people's safety, its business, counselors, by whom all these needful for it to know are are suggested onto it are the memory, the equity, the laws, and artificial reason, and will, conquered, help, sedition, sickness, and civil war, death. Lastly, the pacts and the covenants by which the parts of this body politic were at first made, set together and united, resemble that fiat or the let us make man pronounced by God in the creation. Are you following? I want to know if anybody's following this. Anybody get it? King Kapala, peace, brother, peace. Ice Cube had the movie Three Kings. Yes, brother. See, I'm telling you, man. Leviathan. Yes, yes. Levi, serpent, the wisdom. Yes, yes, yes. Pay attention, pay attention. Okay. To describe the nature of this artificial man, I will consider first the matter thereof and the artificer, both which is man, right? So that is the spirit and the physical, right? Secondly, how and by what covenants it is made, what are the rights and just power or authority of the sovereign, and what it is that preserveth or dissolveth it. Thirdly, what is a Christian commonwealth? A Christian commonwealth. Lastly, what is the kingdom of darkness? Concerning the first, there is a saying, much usurped of late, that wisdom is acquired not by reading of books, but of men. Wisdom is acquired not by reading of books, but of men. Consequently, hereunto, those persons that for the most part can give no other proof of being wise, take great delight to show what they think they have read in men, by uncharitable censures of one another behind their backs. But there's another saying not of late understood, by which they might learn truly to read one another, if they would take the pains that is noiceptis, and read thyself. Look in the mirror. I'm looking at the man in the mirror. Which was not meant as it is now used in consonance. Either the barbarous state of men in power toward their inferiors, or to encourage men of low degree to a saucy behavior towards their betters, but to teach us that for the similitude of the thoughts and passions of one man to the thoughts and passions of another, whosoever looketh into himself and considereth what he doth, when he does think, opine, reason, hope, fear, and upon what grounds he should thereby read and know what are the thoughts and passions of all other men upon the like occasions. I say the similitude of passions, which are the same in all men. Desire, fear, hope, and not the similitude of the object of the passions, which are the things desired, feared, hoped, and for these the constitution, individual and particular education, do so vary, and they are so easy to be kept from our knowledge, that the characters of man's heart, blotted and confounded as they are with dissembling, lying, counterfeiting, and erroneous doctrines, like fiat currency, like land patents, like, yeah, so on and so forth, are eligible only to him that sacred heart. And though by men's actions we do discover their design sometimes, yet to do it without comparing them with our own and distinguishing all circumstances by which the case may come to be altered, is to decipher without a key, and to be for the most part deceived by too much trust or by too much difference, as he that reads in himself a good or an evil man. But let one man read another by his actions, never so perfectly. It serves him only with his acquaintance, which are but few. He that is to govern a whole nation must read in himself, not this or that particular man, but mankind, which though it be hard to do so, harder than to learn any language or science, yet when I shall have set down my own reading orderly and perspicuously, and pains left another, will be only to consider if he also find not the same in himself. For this kind of doctrine admitted no other demonstration. I'm not going to even get into the depths of that, even from there. You're just thinking about the wisdom that you come into, so on and so forth. I want to get back into this other book, not the one we were just reading, but a different one. Give me one moment, guys. Actually, let me take like a 2 minutes, guys, real quick. I'm gonna run and grab my jacket.
Power
my
on.
daughter keep turning this AC up. She warm and I'm cold. So.
Bluetooth connected.
Let me go get me something to put on my arms real quick. So hold on a moment. I'm gonna play out something real quick, and we're gonna get right back into it. Give me about 3 minutes and go from there. Let's see who we gonna play. A little bit of this since we talking about some history right quick.
Yeah, truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. The truth can't be told, it gotta be realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized. Can't be told, it gotta
Peace,
be
Copper. What's
freedom
up, bro?
It ain't realized. Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized. Freedom ain't legalized. Realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized.
Realize. Freedom ain't free, it ain't legalized.
Realize.
Freedom ain't free, it ain't realized.
Slavery was a long time ago. How? Same motherfuckers still here right now. Colonized on our land, they ahead of us. Changed our name so much, they scared of us. Children of the sun, y'all don't compare to us. Pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Talking about America. Pale-faced people, this ain't y'all area. Even if the playing field, bitch, I'm darn. How you a victim, bitch, you a Karen. Cognitive dissonance, you don't need sperm. You got white privilege, so you don't need sperm. Looking at my homeland, man, I can't believe it. Colonized came here, they ain't never leave here. Indians ain't die off cause we here. You ain't got a lot, just say you won't be here. How you American but not indigenous? 400 years still ain't get rid of us. All Europeans, naturalized citizens, made all the Indians, niggas on the census. 1492, we was on the fences. Civil rights movement, we was so defensive. Black Wall Street, whites got so offended. Common law rights gave us amendments. Thank God don't speak truth.
That's right.
First slave 1619 was
all right.
1200 wasn't no continent. All right, Europe named after a black woman. I grafted it come from us. Do your research. Go within, quit listening to teacher. And the nuki got voice coming out the speaker. Cut our trees down and made us weaker. Really they foreigner, the shit gets deeper. Whites don't know where whites come from either. I'm Aboriginal, we come from the ether. Ruling over us in our land, that's evil. Being colonized right now, black people. Prisoner of war, that's why it ain't equal. Wake up everybody, don't be no sheep. Freedom ain't free, really freedom is illegal. And we can't get mad at this. Whites act like we can't see their advantages. Privilege is real, they working in management. Low down dirty, but they calling us savage. They want you to think they above us. All white people are part-time judges. I ain't no racist, but I ain't no sucker. I ain't no African, but they my brothers. Been lied to, I got built up anger. You built everything, still waiting on the savior. Don't call yourself black, please do me that favor. Black tourmaline will protect you from a hater. Listening to your oppressors is dangerous. Gave us a Bible and stole our nation. Said we couldn't read, but we didn't know the language. Kept us on paper because we didn't see the danger. American Indian, keep the religion. Skin copper color look just like a penny. Wanted our land and you called us stingy. Ain't no Democrats there together, pay attention. We got ancestors, but the papers is missing. Kings and queens, but you can't remember. Remember who you are, just like Simba. Now they got a vaccine, we don't want that in us. George Washington is the ninth president.
Look it up.
United States only 10 square blocks.
Look it up.
White people really the minorities.
Look it up.
Courtrooms don't got authority.
Look it up.
Me say stop governing me. Gave me a straw man, it's really not me. Why you don't keep it 100 with me? Why Trayvon killers still walking around free? Made this song for the truth, don't hate it. History was told in reverse, I stated. You still oppress, somebody gotta say it. I'm talking out of school, that's the reason I made it.
History is his story. History is our story.
History is his story. History is his story. It ain't my story. History is his story. It's his story. Probably ain't your story. History is his story. It's his story.
Y'all already know I had to come back, y'all, with that one. Ay, 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 ay. This is my heat right here, too.
My tribe, I mind, so
what's happening?
Government and all across the line.
So what's happening?
All my ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line.
So what's happening?
We original, y'all GM or y'all line. I do this
for my Niji. I do this for my Niji.
I do this for my Niji. Should've left me where I was.
I ain't never scared.
Took that little ice off my neck for
Little thoroughbred.
My nation, my Niji. Someone thorough said, real Americans, still pure blood, we red. I'm like, let my people go and just take me instead. When it's done, I'm only choosing bread. I'ma always choose my people, you can keep that bread. Our government, a trillion, you can keep that bread. It's one thing, Jim Crow
showing me.
I don't want no folks
ruling over me.
I don't want no politicians ruling over me. I don't want no po ruling over me. Only somebody
damn,
that's
it's
like
not
me,
even
don't
right.
treat me like me. I'm
Yeah,
white Cherokee, Chief and Dr. GLE. I'm still a G like DST. Might not be as G as me. You think you free, but you need remedy to this frizz me. I'm from the hood, I'm still waking up my people.
Wake up.
When it comes to fashion, the whole world wanna
they can't get this style though.
When it comes to dancing, the whole world
Hey.
wanna be like us. Foreigners are doing everything.
Can't weaken us though.
Y'all can't fuck with us. Rhythm know we killing y'all. Anything involve a ball. Mentally, we figured out the cosmos.
Yeah, it's all ours.
It's time to take the asking y'all rights by blood after all. Vatican and the Smithsonian got all our shit. Artifacts and relics still keeping us away from it. Then they say, it was a long time ago, that's racist shit. Y'all holding land keep stolen shit. We don't need y'all holding it. Reverse engineering our technology, controlling it. Gave it everything, yeah, but you can't put no soul in it. I ain't go see the new Matrix cause I'm living it.
Hey.
What it seems, but I'm killing it. Can you afford to pay attention who you living
Who you living with?
Now they trying to mandatory facts, but is you getting it? Fall back off my Niji, I'm peeping y'all tactics. This ain't no earth war, this is galactics. Goddesses and gods warming up like practice. We gon' put arrows on your chest like that. Bangalores can't style like us. They just ain't wild like us. They ain't got a soul.
Yeah, they ain't got no soul like that.
Wild like us. Nobody peace pipe like us. I think y'all can't fight like us. Nobody lost they white like us. Wake them up, I'm in the way. Say too much, I'm in the way. They trying to kill us anyway, so listen what I'm finna say. Everybody I kick, we raise y'all anyway. What that sense is finna say. Everybody ain't here to stay. Issue with us or against us.
Ain't no in between.
I'm a non-ether being, not a human being. Fucking 1492, but all my allies what to do. Renegade got killed for days. Be careful, I advise you to. Yeah, my tribe of Aqua Mind. So
what's happening?
Government and all across the line.
They crossed the line.
My ancestors wouldn't like you cross the line.
The ancestors too. They crossed it. A lot of them.
I do this for my Niji, my Niji, my Niji, my Niji, oh yeah, my Niji, my Niji. I do this for my Niji, my Niji, my Niji, my Niji, my Niji, my Niji, my Niji. I do this for my Niji.
Hey. I know I said one, y'all, but I couldn't let that go by. I couldn't let it go by. Y'all know I ain't been in here in a minute, and I ain't been really playing too much of what's going on here, but let's get to this real quick. I am going to get right back to the reading because I got a little more time, guys. Let me hurry up. Where am I? Okay. All right, guys. Now, we're going to start, I'm starting on page 96 of this book. This is another book on property law. We're going to be going over a few things as we did before, giving you some things on some of the nations and some of the things that they went through, so on and so forth. Let's let you guys know what happened in 1966. The United States enacted a statute that allowed tribes to bring actions against the third parties in the federal courts. Without the federal consent in 1969, the Oneida Indian Nation of New York sued the Oneida County seeking rent for the occupation between 1968 and 69 of 100,000 acres of land. The United States had guaranteed the land to the Oneidas in the 1794 treaty, but the New York Purchase and Treaty land in 1795 and in 1974, the Supreme Court held on the Non-Intercourse Act that granted the tribes a federal common law. There was right to sue for the violations of the act. The Oneida Indians Nation versus the County of Oneida, which is 414 U.S. Code 661 in 1974. The Oneida Indians. On remand, the district court and the Court of Appeals held that the 1795 purchase was void and ordered the county to pay rent to the land. The Oneida Indians Nation versus the Oneida County, 719, Federal Court Document 2525525 in the Second Circuit Court in 1983. The Supreme Court affirmed the decision, holding that no federal statute of limitations bared the tribal claims, the County of Oneida versus the Oneida County Nation, 470 U.S. Code 226 in 1985, the Oneida the second. While the litigation was pending, the Oneidas brought an additional claim for possession of all of their original treaty land. Over the course of the 1970s, other tribes in New York, Maine, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Connecticut brought non-intercourse act claims challenging the state and private acquisitions of their land. Some of these claims were defeated or delayed by arguments that the plaintiffs were not really Indian tribes. Other claims were settled, usually with agreements that the tribes would cede most of its original land in exchange for the guarantee of some publicity owned lands as a reservation and funds to purchase additional reservation lands were from winning settlements in the specified area. Rhode Island, the Indian Claims, which was another settlement act, the 25 USC Code 1701, SS 1701, estate SEQ, and that was Maine Indian Claims Settlement Act 25 USC Code SS 1721. And then there was also the Manshantakat, the Pequot Indian Claims Settlement Act 25 USC Code USCA Code 1751. The Mohegan Nation, which is Connecticut, Lands Claim Settlement Act of 25 U.S.C. Code 1755. In order to secure the settlements, the tribes also agreed to significant state jurisdictions over the new lands. But the New York and the Iroquois nations never settled. The ongoing litigation, they were creating concerns among the landowners who feared that the ejection from the land, and the hostility against the tribes, the signs and the readings of no sovereign nation, no reservation, no sovereign nation, no reservation, appeared along country roads in 1999. In the case concerning the land claims by the Cayuga Indian Nation, the U.S. District Court held that the parties could not join private landowners to the litigation or seek to eject them. Finding that such a remedy was impossible given the passage of time, Cayuga Indian Nation of New York and versus Cuomo, 1999, U.S. District Lexix 10579, U.S. District Lexix 10579, Indy, New York, 1999. The district judge found that the loss of their homeland has had an immeasurable impact upon the Cayuga culture and the Cayuga society as a whole, ID at 77, and that the tribes had continuously tried to get back the land, but that the systems which theoretically should have assisted the Cayuga seemingly thwarted their powers or efforts, I guess, at 77 and 83. I'm not sure what this is reference to, guys. I believe it's a book. Let me just check this real quick. All right. Shout out to, who's that? Someone just sent me a Cash App, guys. I'm trying to get to it now. Dee Alexander, thanks, sis, for this Cash App. I appreciate you. Okay. Two wrongs don't display that. Okay. Nevertheless, adjustments of property landowners would potentially displace literally thousands of private landowners and several public landowners, and would prove all too vividly the old axiom, two wrongs don't make a right. They're going to bring that up. In a later opinion, the court awarded the Cayuga Indian Nation approximately $247 million in damages. Dang, that ain't really nothing. But I mean, that was something, but that was nothing compared to what they took. But anybody that is in the Florida area, your family is from Florida, right? This is where the Cayuga nation comes from. Make sure that you're checking into your ancestry and find out if this has anything to do with you, right? Okay, they were awarded $247 million in damages for the lost rental value of their land. The Cayuga Indian Nation of New York versus Pataki. Excuse me. Also, they left, the ones that left Florida and came to the area at that particular time. They were the ones that were in New York. So they were talking about the ancestors, not the prior ancestors. That was my mistake. Hold on. Just to clarify that, because it says they were in New York. So this was after they had traveled down and they became the sixth tribe, so on and so forth. Okay. So that was part of, kind of what that was. All right. Okay. As a legal battle, there's a couple more cases here. Okay, but we'll keep on. Let's go on. Okay. Notes and questions. No one today argues that the unauthorized state acquisitions of tribal lands were legal in 1795, and few still argue that they were justified at the time. But uncorrected injustice in allocations of property often leads to justifiable expectation by those who later purchase and improve the land. How should these conflicting expectations be between the Indian nations derived of their homeland and those who built homes on them later in town, so on and so forth, be resolved? Do you agree with the judge that while the states may be held liable today for the illegal acquisition of the land, private landowners cannot? What do you think? What do you guys think about that? That's a bunch of crap, right? So as you see, what happened is they would right now, if you're able to trace, I want you guys to remember this. We did another bill on this as well. I got a few more minutes, guys. Let me pull something else up real quick. About 20 minutes, so I might even have time to add this. If you're able to trace your ancestry, right, and going back to any of these tribes, I put quite a few cases in there that you could do reference to. You can actually list these cases, trace back your ancestry, and try and get the particular information of your tribe and tap into some of that big money that they're handing out. Let's just say that. Because a lot of people, wait a minute. Hold on, let me find this book. I kind of want to show you guys some of these records. Maybe I'll do that another time, because I have enough time to do that. Hold on a minute. Let me see. I want to show you guys a couple of things. Maybe I won't read. I'll just show you a couple of things I want you to see. This is the Soto discovery of the Mississippi. I'm going to show you guys this one particularly because them bringing this in. This picture, I'm like, they're showing all these different TPs and all this different stuff, and how they came into the land. They had here go the Moors. Y'all see the Moors? These were the Moors. All of them. Some of them were there. Some of them were bringing people in. They were ushering them in, showing them the way, how to get over the lands, which places to crawl over, so on and so forth. Yeah. It's not pulling up. Oh, it did pull up. Let's see. I wanted to show you guys this map, though. Oh, I'm in the wrong album. Hold on. I hate when I feel rushed. I just am all over the place. Hold on, y'all. Let me get it together here. I'm about to get it together. Hold on a second. Let's see. Let me just prove them over here. It is not. This is going. Yeah, we're gonna be out of here in about 10 minutes, guys. So let me see. I'm going to time this map for you guys so you can actually see all of the Indian nations where they were, it talked about, where they were traveling from, so on and so forth. But it shows you exactly where the nations were. So hold on. Well, let me find this one for you guys. I want to show you. This one is a small one that might do. Let me see. Ooh, man, I had a busy week, month, 2 months. Shit, keeping it real. Okay, I think this one does. This one might have the information. Hold on, guys. Let me just pull one up because I don't want to take too much time looking at. A lot of these maps kind of look the same, and it's kind of freaking hard for me to. Okay, yeah, this is it. This one, I think has most of them on there. So, thanks, bro. Oscarville, Georgia. I can do something on Georgia, brother. I got a couple of bills I've been trying to work on, but I don't be having enough time sometimes. But what I'll do is I'll write that down and have some information on it and just not be familiar. Sometimes names aren't really familiar to me, so I may have read something and just don't remember, that particular area. But I will check it out and see if I have any particular information on it. Oscarville, Georgia. All right, I'll check it out, bro. I got you. All right, so let me see. Let me pull this up. Let you guys see. Um, I want you to be able to see the actual area. See, it has all of the different tribes where they were. Let's start down here. Let's go here. Let's go here. This was the Maya nations all down in this area. The Antilles in here, Antilles Islands, all these different islands over here. And coming up here was the Mahua nations, the Chichimix, I believe it is, the Chichimix. If I'm saying that correctly, right? Chichimix. You guys see that? The Chichimix. Here's the Apaches, the Pueblos, the Shoshone tribe, all up in there. Yeah. Some of this looks a little blurry on the screen. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's clear. It looks a little clear on the screen, actually, but I can't move it from over there. But I hope you guys can see some of these smaller names because I can't really make them out. It's a little blurred here when I'm zooming in. It looks a little clearer for you guys, but you guys see some of the names, hopefully. The Dakotas. It shows. I think that's far as that's going to go from there. Yeah, as far as the going. The Colombian tribes. So here, we're all the Colombian tribes all over here. The Eucalypts. Oh, we just read about this in the was it the other day? 2 days ago in that one property book, it was talking about the Eucalypts or Eucalypts. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. That particular tribe. It was the Colombian tribe. The Algonquins. They're out of Canada, right? I believe they're out of Canada. And then, yeah. Yeah, guys, as you know, it's kind of hard to get through all of the books. I mean, all I could do is drop the. I am dropping when I go through certain books. If I do a bill guide, just know I put the links, all the links on my Patreon. I have been paying for quite a few of these different portals of information. This hasn't been as easy for me the last couple of months. So just so you guys know, to help me out, it's not much. Just check it out, and we'll go from there. But yeah, guys, I wanted to make sure I came and was able to at least go over a nice bit of information with you guys. I haven't had a lot of time to build lately. I still really don't. Just made a little time this evening to try to put this get this done because I've been wanting to do it for a while. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do, guys, is call it the evening. Let me check in with my chat. Peace to everybody that's stuck out here with me because they were interested in obtaining this information. I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed the build. If you did, if you did not, please take your time and go through the information. It was beneficial. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm gonna play one on the way out of here, and hopefully, I'm gonna try and see if I can at least do a little catch up on some of the information we were reading earlier in the first book. And there was another book I couldn't find, guys. I'm sorry. I went into the property one because I had read some on the property already, but it wasn't the book I intended to get some information on to you guys. So I will be definitely getting that. We'll do a part 6. This was actually part 5, but I changed the whole title. So we'll probably try and do a part 2 to this if I have time to sometime tomorrow to just get a little more of the information on that book. But I want you guys to see the information on property law when it comes to self, you being the person, the man, the physical man versus an alternate being that is not even a real being. You know what I'm saying? Just got to think about a lot of this stuff, There's an artificial person that is under your birth certificate system using everything under you, like a false you, like a fake you. But we'll get more into that, so on and so forth. We're going to play Royal with Job Bricks. Power on. Bluetooth pairing. Bluetooth connected.
Royal, all of my needs they royal. All of my needs they loyal. We ain't the same, we ain't normal. Wait, adore you. Baby girl, I adore you. Pretty face and she loyal. So to fix your crime, girl, you royal. Wait, royal. All of my needs they royal. All of my needs they loyal. We ain't the same, we ain't normal. Wait, adore you. Baby girl, I adore you. Pretty face and she loyal. So to fix your crime, girl, you royal. Wait. I just had to catch my breath. I just had to stack my checks. Shorty got ass, God bless. Damn. I just had to stack my chips. I just had to grab my grip. A lot of niggas mad I'm rich. I'ma have to smash they bitch. Pull up in a max outfit. VLN on the logo, moving solo with the stick. Block jumping like a pogo, come and pull up on the strip. Told her pull up and get lit. So she pulled up and she stripped. Damn. I don't need all the attention. I just need all of the pension. Run the bill up like a piston. Wait. told them, but they didn't listen. Fuck it, I teach them a lesson. I ain't got time for the stressing. Damn dog, is you kidding me? You know that we Aborigines. I don't give a fuck if you feeling me. It's on me. My knee G's making history. Brother, some diamonds at Tiffany's. She a carbon queen and she feeling me. So you know she matching my energy. Royal. All of my needs, they royal. All of my needs, they loyal. We ain't the same, we ain't normal. We ain't adore you. Baby girl, I adore you. Pretty face and she loyal. So to fix your crime, girl, you royal. We ain't royal. All of my needs, they royal. All of my needs, they loyal. We ain't the same, we ain't normal. We ain't adore you. Baby girl, I adore you. Pretty face and she loyal. So to fix your crime, girl, you royal. We ain't so to fix your crime, girl, you royal. You ain't got time for the low vibes, but you know I'm feeling your vibe. You a black woman, you go God. You could trust me, girl, I promise. My only choice to be honest. I feel like it's perfect timing. When we hit your party, we getting it lit. Hit it YBs if I need me a fit. He got the sauce, yeah, he got the drip. We gon' keep grinding until we get rich. Smoking exotic, I need me a zip. My Aborigines be with this shit. Rushing your shit and I call it a blitz. We tryna find us some money to split. Can't break bread, then you fake then. Free all my guys out the state pen. Her only wet, yeah, it's leaking. She said she want me to eat it. Had to ice her out, now she blinging. Dying for what I believe in. Dropping new heat every season. Call me a vet cause I'm seasoned. Call me a vet cause I'm healing the dogs. Roll me a wood, I ain't talking to law. Brought me some land, about to buy me a mall. Stand up nigga so I cannot fall. Chasing clout, then I won't get involved. Oh, that's your girl, then I'm testing her jaws. Said you was lame, so she gave me the draws. Feeling like Rick Ross because I'm a boss. Royal. All of my needs, they royal. All of my needs, they loyal. We ain't the same, we ain't normal.
Wait.
Adore you. Baby girl, I adore you. Pretty face and she loyal. So to fix your crime, girl, you royal. Wait. Royal. All of my needs, they royal. All of my needs, they loyal. We ain't the same, we ain't normal. Wait. Adore you. Baby girl, I adore you. Pretty face and she loyal. So to fix your crime, girl, you royal. Wait.